All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's hopefully exciting webinar on Able United account, Florida's Able program. And let me go ahead and share my screen. I wanted to thank Suzanne so much for allowing me to present today and thank her staff for joining. Hopefully this is informative and you'll learn more about Able accounts and specifically Florida's Able program, Able United. So on today's webinar, we're going to cover the ABLE Act. We'll look a little bit about the history of how this program came along. We'll talk about how ABLE accounts work with government benefits. We'll spend some time on eligibility, specifically who's eligible here in Florida. We'll look at the unique specifics of Florida's ABLE program, Able United. We'll tackle some frequently asked questions and then leave this open for discussion. So please go ahead and as you go along, you can ask questions on the GoToWebinar panel. And so feel free to ask your questions as we go along. And with that, we'll get into the presentation here. Starting with this picture. This is a picture of Jen and Sean. Jen, when Sean was about 3 years old, realized there wasn't a way for her to save money for him for whatever the future may be without potentially negatively impacting his future. And so she knew Special Needs Trust existed, but there wasn't really a way for her to put money aside now to save for whatever he might need in the future. Similar, like she could for her daughter, her typical daughter, who she was saving for her college savings plan. And so with her advocacy and other parents around the family room table, finally were able to push legislation forward to pass known as the ABLE Act, which created ABLE accounts. Now, ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience and is better known as the ABLE Act. And what it did was it created a Internal Revenue Code, Section 529A. Now, it's similar or modeled after the college savings program, the 529, but it's unique to individuals with disabilities. And the big benefits is that they can save after-tax dollars to help support health, independence, and a quality of life, and to do so in a tax-advantage account. Here in the state of Florida, we're run by the Florida Prepaid College Board, which is under the State Board of Administration. So this program's a state-run program. An ABLE account, as we talk into this and talk about the ABLE account, I want you to visualize that this is similar to a 529 college savings plan, a checking and savings account, and a special needs trust. So it's kind of all three of those rolled into one. And so just keep that in mind as we talk about what this account is. So let's talk a little bit about who can open the account, who's eligible. It's important to note that eligible individuals can only have one ABLE account nationwide. Now, we have some specific requirements here in the state of Florida, and that's they have to be a Florida resident at the time they apply. Now, if they move out of state, they can take the account with them. That's not an issue, but when they apply, they have to be a Florida resident. The two next qualifiers or eligibility requirements are true for all ABLE programs. One, the individual has to have a disability or basically a diagnosis prior to the age 26. And so that's the age of the onset, not necessarily how old they are now. So some people can be in their 80s that have an ABLE account as long as that diagnosis occurred prior to age 26. The next is that their disability has to be severe. So either A, they're receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income, or Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI. If they're not receiving either of those, then they have to have what they say, what Treasury has laid out as a marked and severe functional limitation. And they basically self-certify saying, I have a diagnosis of a physical or mental impairment that was diagnosed prior to age 26, and it's severe, that it impacts my daily living, and is expected to last at least 12 months. And so some examples that the IRS has provided is autism spectrum disorder, intellectual disabilities, schizophrenia, PTSD, cerebral palsy, blindness, deafness, Down syndrome, cystic fibrosis, and there's many, many more. And so it's a broad range of disabilities that qualify for an ABLE account. It goes back to, did the disability occur prior to age 26 or was it diagnosed before that age? Now let's look about who owns the account. This is also unique. The person with the disability is the owner of the account. However, we know not everybody can own or manage their own account. Either they choose not to, or they just might not have the competency to. And so somebody else can assist in opening this account and manage it on their behalf. That would be a parent, a legal guardian, or a power of attorney. If somebody's doing this on behalf of an adult beneficiary, they need to provide the power of attorney or guardianship papers. Let's talk about how this works with public benefits. That's one of the big advantages of an ABLE account, is the ability to save without impacting federal means-tested benefit programs. And we're going to look at the two big ones as Medicaid and SSI. Medicaid, you're probably very familiar with it if you're working in VR, that it is a federal and state program that basically provides basic health coverage. We also have the iBudget waiver here in Florida, which provides home and community-based supports for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That's run by the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. It's important to know that funds in an ABLE account, or even taken out of the ABLE account, are disregarded when determining eligibility for Medicaid. That's pretty unique. Medicaid has a resource limit of $2,000, and so now people can save above that and not jeopardize their Medicaid. Also, Medicaid, we passed law that states that any funds left over in the ABLE account would go to that beneficiary's estate after all qualified disability expenses are paid. So there is no Medicaid recovery on an ABLE account. Instead, it would go to the estate. The other big benefit program that a lot of people take advantage of is SSI, Supplemental Security Income. That basically provides a check that helps pay for basic needs, food, clothing, shelter. Generally, funds in an ABLE account are disregarded when determining eligibility for SSI. But there are some exceptions. The first $100,000 in the ABLE account doesn't count as a resource, so once you hit that threshold, anything above that would count as towards that $2,000 resource limit. Also, housing and non-qualified expenses, basically taken out of the ABLE account but not expensed, would count as a resource at the beginning of the next month. So it's important to know, if you're using an ABLE account to pay for housing expenses and you're on SSI, pay those expenses the same month, or have the ABLE account pay it directly, or it could negatively impact your SSI benefits. We have a federal requirement that we have to submit all of our information to Social Security monthly, so they're tracking to see who has SSI and an ABLE account, and if they take money out of their ABLE account, what it's used for. We always encourage people, if they're on SSI, to check out the Social Security PALMS manual that has a ton of more information and examples on how ABLE accounts and SSI work together. And I was telling Daniel before we started, I wasn't going to do a poll, but I'm going to do a poll question because this would help me kind of as we go to this next part. And basically, the poll question is asking, based on the people you work with, the clients that you serve, what percentage of them are eligible for an ABLE account? So based on the diagnosis, and then also the age. I think that's the biggest requirement is, did their diagnosis occur prior to age 26? So I'm going to open this poll, and then I'm going to be quiet and let everybody get a chance an opportunity to answer it. All right. It looks like a majority of the people are in the 26 to 50% of the people you serve probably would qualify for an ABLE account. That's good to know. It's interesting to see how various VR offices and the clients that they serve. So it's good to know as we move forward. Now we're going to switch to the enrollment process and what that looks like and how it works. And so as Florida's ABLE program, we wanted to make sure that this enrollment process was streamlined, and so it's done all online on ableunited.com. We do have applications that people could print out and mail in if they choose to. But when you open the account, just like if you were opening up a checking or savings account, we will require some specific information: date of birth, address, social security number, for whoever's opening the account, and if they're having an account administrator on the account, we're going to need their information as well. During the process, they'll be asked some basic information as well to verify identity. Also, if you're doing this on behalf of an adult beneficiary, power of attorney and legal guardianship paperwork will need to be provided. The individual will also need to link a bank account, either a checking or savings account, and contribute a minimum of $25, as well as select the investment options they want that money to go to. Speaking of investment options, we have 3 pre-designed portfolios to meet the needs of most investors. So this is similar to other types of financial products you might see, IRAs or retirement plans, where they give you some pre-built portfolios. We have a conservative, moderate, and growth, so based on your risk tolerance. But we also have individual options that people can use. So maybe people want a money market account or FDIC savings account. Those are available. But we also have U.S. stock, U.S. bond, and then international stock options as well. It's important to note that these are managed by large entities that manage trillions of dollars. It's not managed by John in Tallahassee. It's managed by Vanguard, BlackRock. So that's important to know. So the account set up, how do they want to make contributions moving forward? The great thing is contributions are considered completed gifts, not income. But if the individual puts their earned income in the account, it still counts as earned income. So ABLE accounts, remember, they shelter assets, they don't shelter earned income. That's important to know. Also, things to consider when somebody's putting money in the account, it's $15,000 per calendar year that can go into the account from all sources. So mom and dad could pitch in $10,000. If the individual puts in $2,000, the most that can go in that account for the calendar year is an additional $3,000, so $15,000 per calendar year. If somebody's not saving for retirement, they can put additional money in here above that $15,000 amount, or they can put money in it as a retirement plan if they're not saving for retirement or not participating in a work-sponsored retirement plan. So this allows people, hopefully, the benefit of taking advantage of some of the unique benefits of saving for retirement, like the Savers Credit. Also, people can roll over college savings plans into this account. So maybe they have unused funds or family members that have unused 529 college savings plans. They can donate or contribute those to an ABLE account. Also, contributions cannot be deducted from your federal taxes. This isn't a donation. It is a contribution, a completed gift. now that money's in the account, to be able to take it out, there's a couple ways you could do it. Somebody can request an electronic transfer to a connected bank. They can send a request for a check to be sent to them or a third party. And our newest feature is the Able Visa prepaid card, which is really cool, and it allows people to load a prepaid card and be able to use it anywhere Visa debit cards are accepted. And so it's kind of like having an Able account on the go. Also, things to notice is when somebody makes a withdrawal, a portion of their withdrawal could be earnings, and those earnings are tax-free, so you don't have to pay taxes on them as long as you use them for qualified disability expenses. And we'll talk about that on the next slide. Also, when taking money out, they get to choose how they want the money to come out. They can choose the investments or the saving side. It's up to them. Also, important to know, we're not going to request documentation on what you use that money for, but the IRS and Social Security could if you're on SSI. So now my favorite part, what I think is one of the biggest advantages is what you can use these savings accounts for, and that's qualified disability expenses. And it was so broad that the Treasury kind of provided 13 broad categories, and here's a few of them: housing, assistive technology, education, transportation, anything, oversight monitoring, financial, legal, basically anything that's going to help improve or maintain somebody's health, independence, or quality of life. And they even put in the suggestion that these could be used for basic living expenses, like weekly groceries or clothing. So you can see the idea of a qualified disability expense is quite broad. The only example they did provide was, let's say that you had somebody that needed assistance navigating or communicating, then a cell phone and a cell phone plan would be a qualified disability expense, which is pretty awesome. It's usually easier to tell people what's probably not going to be considered a qualified disability expense. So non-qualified disability expenses would be cigarettes, alcohol, anything illegal, or even giving the money away probably would not be considered a qualified disability expense. So it's pretty exciting on how people can use these accounts to help improve their life. So what are the costs associated for setting up and managing an account? Like I said, this is run by the state of Florida with the whole idea of trying to make it the most affordable and flexible option there is. There is no application fee or account maintenance fee. There is a minimum $25 contribution to the account, but once again, that is that person's money. They can receive paper statements if they want, but that is an annual $10 fee. That optional available Visa prepaid card, to be able to have that, it does cost $250 per month. And the various investment options do have an underlying investment advisor fee that's taken out of the performance of the fund. So you don't really see that, but that does exist, and it comes out of the performance. Also, it's important to note that the savings option, the FDIC investment option, there are no fees tied to that option. So it's a lot of information I've given you, and hopefully you've been able to get a good understanding of the program. But I wanted to let you know that we do have printed material for for state offices to be able to distribute to the people they serve. On the left here is our what we call our Quick Start Guide. It is a 8-page brochure that's available in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole that people can use to get a really deep dive of the program. But we also have on the right side our RAC card. This is a back and front simple card that provides high-level information and allows people to help them decide if, going to the website and learning more is the next best thing. But those are available for your offices. I know most of us are working from home still, but hopefully we'll go back to the office soon, or you can pass these out electronically. So they're available on our website for you to download, ableunited.com. But before I would continue any further, and before we wrap up, I wanted to open this up for any questions you may have. You can use the questions answer box, you can send a chat message, or you can raise your hand on the GoToWebinar, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So give everybody a minute to put those in. So quiet. All right, you all are now experts and can tell everybody about Able Account.
Want to thank you very much, John, for your time, for passing along this information for us.
Wonderful. Suzanne, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you all that you guys are doing to help people get employed. I know that's a huge thing. I want to leave you with this, and this is kind of the questions that we might hear from people that we're serving to see if an Able account is right for them. Some of it is maybe people are looking to save money, keep their benefits to help them in transitional in the future. They can now put money aside and not impact those benefits. Maybe people are not relying on benefits and they're looking for ways to have their money go further and earn interest tax-free. You can do that. That's hopefully you can do that by putting money in an Able account. Or maybe people have family members that want to assist them but don't want to just give them gifts. They want to actually give them something tangible. They can open up an Able account, put up a gifting page, and allow people to contribute to their Able account directly. And then also people that are on benefits, they can use this account instead of being in a spin down situation. But thank you, like I said, thank you so much for your time this morning. Hopefully it's very beneficial. Our website, ableunited.com, but on there you can request materials. You can respond to the email you got about this webinar, and I'll be able to send you all whatever you need. But there's our office hours online that you can chat with people or give me a call, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. But on behalf of the program, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you, Suzanne, so much for hosting us, and hopefully Able will be beneficial to the people you serve. All right.
All right. Thank you very much again for the presentation. We learned a lot. We got a lot of information, I think, and we can share that with our consumers as options for them.
Wonderful. Thank you, and you all stay well.
You too.
Bye.